Well, you guys, thanks for coming to this quick presentation. This is just designed to give you some information that will hopefully be helpful to you. And when you get what you need, there's no reason to stay for an hour. You know, we thought we'd set up for like a 15-minute session, and then we have some time afterward if we want to practice, or if there's some different things that we want to try, we can keep going. But it's your time, so whatever is most useful for you. But here we are in a whole new way of communicating and not traveling. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about a way that we can work around that with Zoom. So go ahead and roll through them, Rochelle. We're sharing Rochelle's screen. And so she's going to control moving on to the next slide here. So first of all, we kind of did some testing of audio. And one thing is, if you can't hear, if you get on a meeting, like I have done many times, and you can't hear anything, but you can see the person, other people in the meeting, a lot of times it's your own speaker. So on your laptop, that speaker icon that you can see circled in red there, if you have that shut off, you won't be able to hear. So that's always a good troubleshooting thing to look at. But from there, go ahead and go to the next one, please. Housekeeping things, just really quickly. We are recording the meeting. So if that's a problem, go ahead and we can always do it one-on-one later. And we will tell you where the recorded meetings are being stored and how you can access those later on. The way this meeting was set up, when we all entered, we were set up to be muted automatically upon entry, and most meetings are set up that way. And the idea is not to be like, come to our meeting, we don't want to hear a thing you have to say. The idea is with a large group of people, if everyone's muted, you eliminate the background noise issue. So in this case, you can mute and unmute yourself just by using the little microphone icon, which you guys can hopefully all see at the bottom left of your screen. You're muted now, and if it's red and has a line through it, you can talk all you want and your dog can bark and we can't hear you. So and that's just kind of an etiquette thing. You know, I've noticed on Zoom with my kids and stuff, they just get really irritated if people are not muted when they're not speaking. So I guess that's a good practice. If you're not the speaker, keep yourself muted. Did somebody have something, or okay? And then this is us. I'm Pam, and you know me from food distribution of your USDA foods. And Gretchen Groves is with us, and she is with Montana Team Nutrition. And if you have participated in Cook Fresh this year or worked on other initiatives with Montana Team Nutrition, chances are you've got to deal with Gretchen, and she's also super tech savvy. So we're just lucky to have her involved and keeping us going all in the right direction. And Rochelle Davies is a program specialist with school nutrition programs, Region 6, is that right? So in the eastern part of the state, if you might be working with Rochelle one-on-one with your program. So that's who we are. And then just really quick, let's see, go ahead and click away from us, Rochelle, please. Oh yes, we are learning. So far, so good. We all got here, it turned on, everything's working, but you know, it just seems like every time you get on Zoom, there's going to be something that you're going to learn. So we're learning too, and just like all of you, it hit us fast. So just a little bit of background, you know, as we were putting this together, I started thinking, you know, this time last year, who knew what Zoom was? I mean, Zoom was a verb, really, is you know, some of us had heard of Zoom meetings, but man, we weren't all using them all the time and hearing about them constantly. So let's see. Oh, go ahead, Russia. I guess I'm, oh, she's gonna let somebody in. Zoom is basically just a way for us to get together when we can't get together, is what it amounts to. but technically it's yet another one of these things that lives in the cloud, wherever that is. And it just enables us to do all kinds of things that we could do if we were sitting together. I mean, we can hear each other, we can see each other. If we have cameras, we can, like right now, we're sharing this document. So this slide that you're looking at right now is on Rochelle's computer in Billings. And because we're screen sharing, I can look at it and remember what I'm supposed to say. So we're screen sharing. We're going to maybe practice some breakout rooms where we can get into little groups. And we can share information. We can do polls. So we can really do a lot of things that that we otherwise would have to travel to do. So if we can all just get a little bit more comfortable with the basic Zoom functions, and we'll talk a little bit more about how we think we'll be using this in the coming year. And then just when you leave, if you are a little bit more comfortable with entering a Zoom meeting, participating, feeling like, you know, like you're comfortable doing it, just like you would be walking into a room and sitting down and talking to somebody. And then hopefully maybe start to think about how can you use this going forward. So not necessarily with the OPI and the things that we need to do, but with your vendors, with other schools, with if you are a school district where you have multiple buildings. So maybe some ways that you can use it outside of just school nutrition. So those are our objectives for the day. And let's see what's next on our list. Oh, I kind of got out of order. We talked about this. So Zoom just came out of nowhere. And so we can go to the next one, and that just, again, you know, just a review of we can't get together. And the next slide will show too at OPI, we have things we would traditionally be planning right now and doing in the fall workshops, administrative reviews, the other things that you see there on the list. And OPI is under a formal travel restriction through the end of the calendar year. So we cannot come to you to put on a fall workshop, and we can't do any administrative assistance or review work in person. So hence Zoom. And let's see, on the next slide, what we're gonna do now is use one of a Zoom feature. So this is one that, this is something that the host can set up. So Rochelle is the, technically, you know, put this meeting together. And so she was able to set up a poll ahead of time. And it just is gonna be a way for you guys to type in, you know, where you're from, I believe, and go ahead and I guess when you put it up, we'll know what it says. Aha, there it is. So what do we have? Okay. Your role in school nutrition. How many questions do we have? 3? 4? And if you could just answer, then at the end, Rochelle will get all of the the answers and the results added together, and she'll let us know who's here, what role do you have, and how comfortable are you with Zoom. And then from there, she'll progress through just a few of the features one by one, and we'll get to practice a little bit. And we can all learn something for sure from a little bit of Zoom practice. And let us know if you think of any questions along the way, something doesn't make sense, please let us know. We'll be so smart by the end of this, we won't know what to do. Okay. Oh, it will not let us submit. Interesting.
If you scroll down, is there an option to submit? I see a few of you have submitted already.
Okay. All right. Let's see if it'll let me do it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Katie said she had to submit all 4 questions in order to submit. And you know, like Pam mentioned, we are all still learning. There's a lot that's possible with Zoom, and we are doing a live test of the poll questions. So I apologize. Number 4 was not supposed to come up until later in the training. Please forgive me. Okay, I have 5 answers. Was anyone else having trouble or able to find the submit button? Okay, I see another one. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for trying that out with us. So you should be able to see the poll results. Pam, can you see my results?
Mm-hmm.
We have 3 food service directors with us here today and 3 under other. I should have provided more categories. I apologize. So we have a good mix of how comfortable everybody is with Zoom, comfortable or experienced, and pretty savvy with technology in general. That's great. So Zoom is actually very intuitive once you start using it and playing with it. So if you're feeling proficient with other technology, you'll pick up Zoom in a hurry. So, okay, I am going to take it from here. Thank you so much, Pam. Oh, if I can get my slides to advance. So we just wanted to point out some of the basic functions. So right away, we talked about the mute and unmute button you can see here. And as Pam mentioned, as a setting, we generally turn on when meetings start to have all participants begin muted, but you can definitely unmute yourself anytime you would like to say something. We will definitely be encouraging discussion and questions in our trainings and our webinars this year. So we really want you to know how to unmute yourself and have some discussion going on, because if anyone has ever presented to a computer screen, you know that it's a little awkward. So it really helps when other people are chiming in with questions or stories. So please feel free to unmute yourself. Another way that you can engage with us during our webinars is right here on this chat. I see it, oops, excuse me. Didn't mean to click that. On the chat, we love to see discussion going on. It's not just a place for you guys to be asking us questions. It's where you guys can be having discussion amongst yourselves. We love to foster that kind of environment too. We've seen some really good discussions come from our webinars and meetings that we've been holding this summer already. So please freely use the chat function. If you have a camera, you can start your video. I'm gonna start my video and say hi. My apologies, my internet is really slow today, so it starts bogging down when I've got my video going and I'm presenting. So I've been mostly keeping my video off to help alleviate some of that hogging of the bandwidth. And then the last thing I want to talk about real quick is this little area right here called reactions. So this is a great way that you can interact quickly. So let's say your host asks a question and says, how are you feeling about school starting? If you guys would like to, please go test that. You can, on your bottom bar, look for this smiley face for the reaction, and you should be given the option to either do thumbs up or wave hi. This is awesome. Good job, Cassidy. This is a great way that we interact in our team meetings where we can give feedback right away. You don't have to wait for, excuse me, you don't have to wait for anybody to unmute themselves and people be talking over each other, or sometimes pulling up the chat and typing out something can be cumbersome too. So this is a great way that we like to say thumbs up, keep going. So now I am going to stop screen sharing, which should help out with my video. Okay, hi everybody. So I would like to walk through a couple of real world examples just so that you guys are more comfortable with things. If you hover on your bottom bar, you should see under participants. If you click on participants, it'll pull up a pop-out window and you can see everybody who's in this meeting with us. Go ahead and find yourself. And as you hover over your name over to the right edge, it'll say more. If you click on more, you can click rename. So if you would, please rename yourself with, how about if you're a 4 or a 5-day school district? I'm going to say not applicable. And then that will change in real time so that we can see, so that you can, it's a good way to put some additional information about yourselves. Or if we were doing like in our fall training where we're going to be sending out certificates at the end, we really need to know who's there with you. So now we have 4.5 days, that's interesting, and 5 days. So if that was, for example, your name that had stuck with you, we wouldn't know where to send the certificate or who was attending unless we recognized you by face. So always a good idea to know how to rename yourself. Another thing I want to test is in the chat. I would love for all of you to pull up the chat and tell me your favorite vacation spot or something interesting about yourselves, if you feel comfortable. Katie Bark is left-handed. Awesome. Cruises. A unicycle. How cool. You can ride a unicycle. Is that Tana? Did I say that right? Okay, that's neat. Hawaii. Okay. And then if you guys are comfortable, I would love to practice you unmuting yourselves and tell me your favorite dessert. So we can go one at a time. Whoever's comfortable, just
I think mine is chocolate.
thanks, Gretchen.
Mine's ice cream.
Nice.
Mine is chocolate or ice cream too.
Hard to go wrong with those.
This is Pan. I like any kind of pie, especially for breakfast.
Pie for breakfast. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy, I can see it looks like you're saying something, but you're muted. There we go.
No, okay, I thought I submitted a little chat thing there, but I lost it. So, I'm gonna try it again. And I missed the last question because I was concentrating. What was the last question?
What's your favorite dessert?
Oh, okay. Well, today maybe chocolate cake because we had some for lunch.
Yum.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself and try this again.
Okay. How about you, Clay? What's your favorite dessert? I saw you unmuted, Clay, but I didn't hear anything. Well, see, this is why we practice. Always technical issues. So,
Hi, this is Katie. I love warm chocolate brownies with vanilla ice cream.
oh, yum.
I bet you Clay's phone rang and he had to answer it, if I had to guess.
He said his mic isn't hooked up.
Oh,
So,
okay. So that brings up a good point. Some laptops have microphones built in and some don't. Is that the case?
mm-hmm.
Okay. So can you tell by looking at your laptop if it has a microphone?
You know, I have always looked to see if there's a mute function for the microphone up on top where like F1, F2, like those buttons are, because that's something that I can control up here.
Okay.
That's a really good question.
If you're not sure if your computer does, when you go to the little mute bar, there's a little arrow, like a caret that points up. And if you click on that, you could do a test speaker and microphone, and that will tell you if you have a microphone or if you don't. Because it'll give you an option to hear and an option to speak, and then it'll play it back. So if that's something that you weren't sure about, you can do it that way too.
Okay. So at the
Awesome.
very bottom left, the same microphone that you click on to mute and unmute yourself, just click on the caret, and then I see it. Okay. So everyone could actually look at that right now if you wanted to. Okay. Cool.
And there's also settings that you can, if you are having really low hearing, you can adjust it even higher. Like if it's really quiet on your computer.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Gretchen. So you can see that Gretchen and I, we have microphones on our computers, but we're still choosing to use headphones and headphones with a microphone on them. I prefer this because I feel like I can hear better, like the quality is better, and then I prevent an echo when I am hearing the other people speak, and then it seems to echo back and forth on my computer. So I feel like the sound quality is better. And I noticed that my microphone has a better quality than the microphone that's built into my laptop. So yeah, that's always an option too, that you can look for some kind of external microphone with headphones. There's quite a few options that will work with your computer. I think a few of us have Bluetooth headphones that you can connect to a compatible device as well. And if you ever do have trouble, so ironically, I have the same laptop for my personal use as I do for work, so it should have all the same stuff. My microphone does not like Zoom, so I have to call in and listen on my computer and see on my computer if I choose to use Zoom on my personal laptop. So that's why we recommended logging in about 10 minutes ahead of time to make sure that you can test your microphone and your speakers, maybe find other equipment if your stuff isn't working correctly. Because there's always something with technology. So, does anyone have any questions on any of that? Okay, seems like you guys are doing great with all this. So I'm going to go back to my presentation. Oops, excuse me, I have to screen share. Forget my order of operations here. Okay. So we discussed a lot of these features. Oh, sorry, I'm going to stop sharing my video for a minute. Too many things going on. We got a little bit of practice. So one of the other things that you'll see us go back and forth on a lot, so you might have already noticed when I screen share, it changes the view of how you can see things. There's also, you can toggle back and forth right here, Gretchen highlighted. There's a speaker view versus gallery view. My apologies, it's probably kind of small to see, but if you were to choose speaker view, it changes the layout of all your videos, or like I have a static picture. If you go to gallery view, it shrinks everything over to the side, and it's going to automatically do that when I'm screen sharing. And you can see that there's like a down caret if there's additional people, or an up caret that you can look for other people that are on the call if you wanted to see someone else's video. Sorry, here's where my fourth poll question should have come in. And then one of the last things that we wanted to mention was that not all of your Zoom invitations are going to look the same. So you may have seen, you know, if you see this huge Zoom invite that has, you know, every possible connection method, you can click on the link, you can go to zoom.com and just enter in your meeting ID to join. You can dial by telephone. Sometimes you might see 10 phone numbers listed here if it says find your local phone number, for example. You can join by Skype for Business. I believe there's more before we cut this off, but some of the easiest ways to join a meeting would always be to click on this Zoom link. Or if you get a link that isn't working, I would suggest next trying the meeting ID, which is very simple. You just go to zoom.com and there's a button for meeting ID. You enter in this number and click join, and it'll put you right in the meeting. And lastly, like I said, we always try to include a phone number so that you have another possibility for joining, because you might run into problems like I explained on my personal laptop where my microphone doesn't work, but the speaker works. So I have to join for the video and then also call in. Another thing that can throw off what these meeting invites look like is the type of account that the holder has. So a basic Zoom invite may not include all of these things, whereas like a business or higher level paid account will have more ways to join. So we just wanted to show you some of these things so that you're never thrown off on which do I use, what's the most appropriate way to join the meeting. Or if you get stuck, you know how to utilize a different method. Okay.
Oh, Rochelle, before you go on beyond that, Katie had entered a question into the chat.
My apologies.
I didn't want to stop you in the middle of explaining all that stuff. So zoom.com or zoom.us if you want to use the option where you enter your meeting ID. Does anybody know? I can try looking it up.
Let's check it out.
I think it's zoom.us, but now I'm second guessing myself. Yeah.
Good question, Katie. I go to zoom.com.
They both take you to the same place, actually, if you type in either one. Or that's what my computer's doing, at least.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. So let's go get my meeting ID that Pam sent to everybody and show it live. Oh, there it was, sorry, meeting ID. So you would click join a meeting, enter in, and click join. I don't think it'll let me join since I'm already in my own meeting, but okay. Did that prompt any other questions? Does anybody have any other comments or questions? Any issues you've seen previously that you want to talk about?
What about screen sharing? Because that screen sharing seems, that's one of the ways that I've used this the most, like trying to explain something to somebody so we can be looking at the same thing. So how would we, how would we go about doing that if we were going to share, if I wanted to share my screen right now? Should we practice?
Yeah. Does anybody want to be brave and practice? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for being good sports and practicing this stuff with us. Like we said, even though we do this every day, sometimes multiple times a day, we run into technical difficulties or we're just trying new stuff like the poll questions. So we really appreciate you guys taking this time to test this out with us. Like Pam said, we will be doing a lot of Zoom trainings, Zoom meetings this year with our travel restrictions. So we hope to see you, air quotes, see you more in the future. And thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. You can always send us an invitation if you want to practice.
Yes.